It was supposed to be a high-profile tourist attraction. Instead, it stands as an expensive monument to government waste.
Tonight, a Larry Barker investigation of a multi-million-dollar blunder sitting in the middle of nowhere. As screw-ups go, this one is a whopper. Here's Larry's investigation.
This is a roadmap on how not to spend taxpayer dollars.
As far as benefit, it really didn't have any benefit.
It was very unsuccessful, and it was wasted taxpayer money.
Established 400 years ago by Spanish conquistador Juan de Oñate, the Royal Road of the Interior extended 1,600 miles from Mexico City to Santa Fe. For 3 centuries, the El Camino Real played a critical role in the history of the Southwest.
Today, remnants of the historic trail are still visible. In fact, this pristine landscape looks much like it did in Oñate's day. So this spot, south of Socorro, seemed like just a perfect place for a museum dedicated to the history of the Royal Road. Welcome to the El Camino Real Heritage Center, a multi-million-dollar government project that may go down as one of New Mexico's most expensive blunders.
No one remembers exactly where the idea came from, but the first reference to a museum was buried in a 1999 legislative amendment. $1 million to plan, design, and construct the El Camino Real facility in Socorro County. The Bureau of Land Management chipped in another $4 million, and by 2005, the state's newest museum became a reality. An estimated crowd of 2,000 turned out for the dedication ceremony. Socorro Mayor Ravi Bhaskar was there.
We had Bill Richardson out there cutting the ribbon, and we had dignitaries everywhere. It was exciting.
But the excitement was short-lived. Where the El Camino Real was in use for 3 centuries, the museum lasted just 11 years. In 2016, the Cultural Affairs Department padlocked the doors and permanently closed the museum. Today, the parking lot is deserted. Tourists are gone, artifacts packed away, display cases vacant, exhibits dismantled, interpretive panels removed, and the gift shop bare. All there is to show for millions of tax dollars is an abandoned building on the prairie.
11 years is disgraceful. There was a real failure on this particular project.
Former State Senator John Arthur Smith chaired the Senate Finance Committee.
When the history of this project is written, what will it say?
They're going to shake their head, and another example of government waste. I think the obituary was written many, many years ago on that one.
So what went wrong? Location, location, location. An Albuquerque consulting firm hired by the state said the best place for the museum would be a spot 25 miles south of Socorro. You exit the interstate, take the frontage road for 1.5 miles, hang a left, and drive another 3 miles to the museum. Even though there are no gas stations, hotels, or restaurants nearby, build it here, and the consultants estimated it would draw 100,000 visitors a year, boost the economy by some $10 million, and create 170 jobs. In fact, over the course of a decade, the museum never drew more than 8,000 tourists a year. This remote location meant few visitors, meager income, deficient utilities, inadequate staffing, and expensive maintenance. The El Camino Real Center was doomed to fail before it even opened its doors.
But it was fairly bizarre that they would place it where it was, because there was no way you could really justify that location, in my mind.
Former Speaker of the House, State Rep Don Tripp, lives in Socorro.
It's a beautiful building. It's very interesting, the exhibits and things. The main thing is just in the middle of nowhere.
So if you had to guesstimate the economic impact of that museum on the local economy,
It's almost nil.
where did the government go wrong?
They built it in the wrong place. if it's in the wrong place.
Would you pour $4 or $5 million into building a tourist spot 22 miles south of Socorro?
I would not, unless maybe it was Disneyland.
The consultants estimated that it would draw, in a minimum, about 100,000 tourists every year.
That would have been impossible.
There were decisions that were made along the way that ultimately proved to not be the right ones.
Secretary Deborah Garcia y Griego heads up the Cultural Affairs Department.
And I think when the department really took a hard look at what it was costing to operate that site versus what the visitation was, the return on investment simply wasn't there. And the former cabinet secretary made the determination to close the site permanently. We would hope and we would do everything in our power to make a better decision today to ensure that we are spending taxpayer dollars appropriately.
I think it's just tragic.
Fred Nathan leads the nonpartisan public policy group Think New Mexico.
Larry, I think the critical mistake was there was no feasibility study. Instead, they just were wishing that it would work out. And so they said to themselves, if we build this, they will come. That works well in Hollywood, but in the real world, not so much.
State lawmakers funneled more than $1 million into the museum project.
In most states, public infrastructure projects are based on a comprehensive plan that are based on priorities and criteria. Unfortunately, in New Mexico, for the past 44 years, that's not the way it's been done.
Why is it so difficult for the legislature to simply do the right thing?
Political traditions die hard in New Mexico.
So what do you do with a defunct multi-million-dollar museum building in the middle of nowhere?
Obviously, the best would be to find another state agency that could put it to good use. If that's not possible, we'll actually go out to the public and see if there's anybody interested in the public in that particular site.
What does that big empty building represent, in your opinion?
A real expensive lesson?
Is this how government is supposed to work?
No.
Larry Barker, KRQE, News 13.
You can get a closer look at just what went into building that museum at always on KRQE.com.